here, up and productive and living my life. Welcome to the Secret Restaurant Podcast. Been busy this morning. I finally decided I'm gonna take another break from social media. So last night I logged out of both YouTube and Instagram and decided that I'm gonna quit checking it first thing in the morning, and then once you do that, you check it repeatedly all day. And guess what? First thing in the morning, I got up and I got some coffee and I sat down and wrote for probably like 45 minutes to an hour, which is pretty solid, especially because I've been trying to get into all the fiction writing stuff and not get into it. I've written fiction, but I've been trying to do my own stuff. But the hardest part is actually, I feel like with fiction, unlike poetry, you can write it while you're semi-distracted just because it's about like lines and it's really short form. I feel like one thing I've learned from, first of all, reading, but also from writing, if you really want to get into writing fiction, it's almost like a meditation where you have to actually sit down and focus for like long periods of time, which is something that historically I've not been known for, which is probably why I've written about 600 poems and about 6 short stories on my own time. Yeah, I think it's kind of like one of those instances, everybody talks about it all the time, but very few people actually do something about it. Like social media is a burden in your life. And I think last time I used to be pretty, well, I don't want to say addicted because that sounds severe, but I was pretty obsessive about Twitter. And once I deleted that, which was about 2 years ago, I think immediately, like the first time I deleted it, within like a week or two, I was writing for money, freelancing. And around that same time, I had started Secret Restaurant. And then I added it and deleted it again. But the difference between Twitter and Instagram for me is that when I was on Twitter, I knew people in real life on Twitter, but they weren't very active on it. Whereas Instagram, like people from all Nate Hoyle eras of his life, I've kind of kept in touch with people through Instagram, going all the way back to the era of my birth because my family's on there and stuff. But yeah, also I think Twitter is weird because, or X, I guess. I deleted it before it was called X, so I'm not like a person that's like rebelling against it by not calling it X. It's like literally always been Twitter for me, and I'm never gonna be able to switch that in my mind. So another thing about it, I think, is people who like reading or people who are drawn to Twitter are drawn to like interpreting things because they read tweets and decide how they feel about them. It is a form of reading, even if it is kind of like a shallow one. But even like, so I started kind of posting more reels on YouTube, and I started getting comments from people that I don't know. And even then, like in that short experience, like I got some comments from people I don't know, and I feel like it triggered that part of my memory that was from Twitter, just like reading into comments, especially if they were kind of bizarre ones, or like trying to figure out what the heck people are talking about. I feel like there's a layer of kind of madness when it comes to reading comments from strangers online, which wasn't exactly healthy for me. And there's comments everywhere. But I feel like Instagram is more just like predictable stuff. Whereas Twitter was like someone be way out of pocket and you'd be like thinking about it in a different way than just someone being like talking about who's the GOAT on Instagram, or like, I don't know. Maybe like bots weren't as big of a deal 2 years ago either when I was into Twitter and stuff, because now it just seems like the comments I read on Instagram and YouTube are like super predictable. Except for some of the ones I was getting on YouTube. I mean, some of them were really kind and friendly, and then one of them I was like, is this person threatening me? Like, should I be worried about this? Which I decided no. But yeah, anyway, long story short, I'm trying to take a break from Instagram and YouTube too, because YouTube is a wormhole. But then the funny thing about it is now I'm figuring out how to post my podcast on other social media sites. Actually, I guess that's not too crazy because I'm trying to move away from YouTube. So what do? You try and find other outlets to share your work so you're not checking YouTube to see if you got more than 14 views, you know. Some of my reels got over 1,000, which is pretty cool. I think that was actually kind of what sparked it. Was I was posting reels, or not reels, what are they called on YouTube? Shorts, pants, joggers. Joggers would be a great short video title on some other site that they try and rip off the TikTok thing. Just call them joggers. Or maybe those are the medium length ones, like the shorts on YouTube are the short ones that are under 3 minutes or whatever the max is. I don't know what the max is. It's 3 minutes on Instagram. And then the joggers are like 5 minutes. Who's the CEO of YouTube? Get him on the phone. Got all the big ideas here. Anyway, can you tell that my mind is clear and just rolling right now? Because I haven't been checking my social media since 8 a.m. repeatedly, and my screen time just like blowing up, skyrocketing. I think this is my new thing. I think I'm going to cut out the whole pointless checking of social media, and then next thing you know, I'll be starting a second business, right? But anyway, my productivity this morning involved writing in present tense, second person, which if you listened to my podcast from earlier in the week, you will know that I was studying a book that wrote that way, called Bright Lights, Big City by Jay McInerney. I should have Googled how to say his name before posting 2 podcasts where I failed to say his name. That would have been probably the more intelligent thing to do. So I'm sorry to all his fans. People always call me Nate Hole, which is probably the worst name to be called by someone. So hopefully that doesn't catch on. It already caught on. I've been called that so many times. It's crazy. Why would it be Hole? Hoil. You don't call oil oil. What's another one? Toil. Foil. It literally rhymes with every word that's spelled with OIL, and people call me Nate Hole. It's kind of one of the biggest tragedies that's ever happened to me. I'm just kidding. I don't actually care that much, and I don't hope nobody hears that and thinks I'm actually offended. So anyway, what else can I talk about? I guess I'm eager to have some publications coming out. I'm not sure when. I think one of them actually comes out this week or next week, but they haven't announced my name, so I'm not going to announce it here, but it's in print, and I'm enthusiastic about it, and I'll talk about that later, I guess. And then I got another acceptance that is from this press that I've been following for a while on social media. That's the other thing, man. It's like, so the first one I was talking about, I'm sure the next time I record a podcast, I'll talk about the names of the magazines. So sorry for the crypticness of it. But the first one, I actually met their editor-in-chief at a reading. And then I think that's the only time I've actually met her. But anyway, through social media, I knew that she was doing this magazine. It's like the second issue. And so what I'm saying, the whole point of me saying this is that it was through social, despite the fact that I met this person in real life, it was through social media that allowed me to like send work there and know about it. Although a lot of that also has to do with me neglecting how I basically had a gigantic literary scene in the palm of my hand when I lived in Chicago, and kind of failed to really go to more than 6 or 7 events. Yeah, I need to get over feeling like an outcast all the time. And just accept that some places are meant to go to and have fun there. I mean, I had fun at the events I went to. Sometimes it was kind of like I had fun going to the places that I knew the people hosting it. But I do feel like there's something about, and this just isn't Chicago, actually. I'm always getting in my fucking feelings in these podcasts, but it's not just Chicago. But I do feel like sometimes certain communities in the arts kind of get caught in their own world a little bit. And I feel like, not to be that guy or whatever, but like one of the readings I went to, one of the writers there was talking about like something about like straight people don't have a community like this, gesturing to the room. I was like sitting there like, do you want me to leave? Like, you know what I don't know. It's like, I know it's basically just like certain little pockets of the literary world, but it's kind of like, I see it a lot in publishing too, like journals declare themselves like as like one particular thing, and it's kind of alienating, I guess. I'm just being honest. I guess it's not that big of a deal. I know most people kind of don't want to hear it from people like me, but I guess I just imagine I'm probably not the only person who feels that way. Anyway, it's just something that I noticed in literature, especially. But I kind of got like way off track because I was going to talk about my experience this morning writing in second person present in my notebook. It's kind of a weird experience because, I think one of the biggest ways that I get ahead of myself when I am trying to write fiction is that I'll work for a very long time on like a few pages or a chapter, and I'll polish these pages of the chapter, get it to where I want it to be, and then like once you see that first chapter that's polished, it almost creates a roadblock for the second chapter where like it's hard to start over from scratch. And I think that's kind of why people like to handwrite. So I don't know, I think what I want to try and do is write in a notebook just different ways that are not the same. Like writing in second person present or writing in first person, or like trying different ways that like you don't really worry about like what the final book's details of like tense and POV and all that is, just to like get the words out. Because I feel like I've had like 3 or 4 stories and long form stories that I've got like the first 2,000 words or like even like 8,000 words. But like once I have that, it's like so difficult to go over to the next part and start from scratch again. So it felt good to do this kind of odd way of second person present. I feel like I came up with some good ideas. It kind of came out as mostly kind of autofiction, honestly, but it's mainly because I didn't really even write any scenes. It was more kind of descriptions of places or not really action that would be considered particularly notable in a grand narrative. Nobody jumping on the back of a horse and riding off into the sunset, so to speak. So I feel like I'm getting a little distracted mid podcast because I just successfully uploaded the last episode to Spotify, so that's up there. Except when I Googled it, you can't. I really hope I don't have to put a new name as the podcast, because obviously something that I failed to think about but know deep down in my heart, Secret Restaurant, is going to lead people to think that it's about food or restaurants or whatever. But I'm pretty fond of the title anyway. I tried Googling it on the Spotify and it didn't show up, but then I was able to send myself a link and I see it on there now. Maybe it'll just take a little bit to, well, you'll know now, because when I upload this, you'll be able to listen to it on Spotify, hopefully. When I try to play it, it won't play, though. Okay. Well, maybe it'll just, like, take a little bit, or maybe I've been blacklisted from the podcast universe. God dang it. Yeah, man, I feel like if you listen to the last one, I had my little interlude because now that I'm uploading it onto other sites than just YouTube, I pulled a Monday morning podcast, or I guess they do it on Thursdays, where I'm just going to include an older episode afterward because I didn't want to like upload all 22 episodes just all at once. That seemed pointless. But basically, the influence that Bill Burr's podcast, Monday Morning Podcast, is pretty obvious. I think I was joking that it was not, that I'd never heard of it. And there's no way, shape, or form as to the Thursday afternoon, just before Friday podcast double episodes influenced me, because I've never even listened to it one time. No, that's not true. I've listened to hours and hours of it. I was trying to get you can email that podcast. I was trying to get an email on his Q&A and was always blocked out. They didn't want to ask my questions, and I'm kind of starting to think that maybe it has something to do with something much larger than any comedy podcast. I think, as I mentioned before, I've been blacklisted by Hollywood. And I'm not sure what it is. Maybe someone out there has it out for me. I think probably, if I were to guess, it would be out of jealousy. Because anytime I meet any artist who is somewhat connected to the Hollywood stratosphere, they don't seem to encourage me. So I don't know what that's about. I'm a pretty encouraging person. And you know what? If it takes a whole army to stop me, so be it. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. I think that's probably good. I think I'm losing it. I think that all of the energy and focus I had when this podcast began was completely deflated by me figuring out how to simply work the internet. But anyway, the next podcast I'm going to attach to this one, let's see, is going to be a little doozy from August 5th, 2024. I don't know what's on it, but that was the one after the one I did last time, if that makes sense. The one after the one I did last time, a collection of poems. Yeah, cool. And if you're listening to this, obviously on YouTube, I'm not going to post both because that one's still on there. Trying to think of anything interesting or funny or relatively somewhat human I could say right now. But I think I pretty much wore myself out. So, goodbye.